Every single time you go online, you're leaving behind this trail of digital breadcrumbs. I'm talking about your birthday, your credit card number, or maybe even just the stuff you're interested in. All of that, it's incredibly valuable data. So the big question is, how do we protect it from falling into the wrong hands? Well, that's exactly what cybersecurity is all about. And today, we're going to break down the fundamentals.
So here's the game plan. First, we'll get into why your digital info is so valuable in the first place. Then, we'll break down the 3 core pillars of security, meet the different kinds of hackers out there, and check out the digital battlegrounds where cybersecurity pros do their work. We're even going to see how they simulate a cyber attack to test defenses. And we'll wrap it all up by looking at the secret doors and windows of the internet, network ports.
Okay, so let's dive right into the most important thing here, your data. Every single day, you are creating a digital fingerprint that is completely unique to you. And believe me, it's incredibly valuable.
Just stop and think about it for a second. Your date of birth, your passwords, your credit card details, even just your hobbies and interests, all of that stuff combines to create your digital identity. And just like the wallet in your actual pocket, that identity needs to be protected. This is where information security, or InfoSec, comes into play. It's really the formal practice of protecting information from, any kind of unauthorized access or harm. And this isn't just about your digital files on a computer. It covers physical records too. We're talking about using tools like encryption, access control systems, and antivirus software to keep it all locked down.
Now, to build a really strong digital defense, security professionals all rely on this foundational model. It's known as the CIA Security Triad. And no, not that CIA. This one stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability.
What's so cool about this is how these 3 pillars work together. Confidentiality, think of that as a locked door. Only the right people have the key. Integrity, make sure that whatever is inside that room hasn't been messed with. The information is accurate and you can trust it. And finally, availability guarantees that when you, an authorized user, need to get into that room, the door actually opens. A solid security plan needs all 3 working together perfectly.
Of course, security isn't just about technology and rules. It's also about people. So let's talk about the individuals who are constantly testing these defenses. Hackers.
Now, the word hacker probably conjures up a very specific image, right? But at its core, it just means a highly skilled computer expert who has a really deep knowledge of how computers and networks tick. The real difference comes down to their motivations, which can be wildly different.
We can basically break them down into 3 main types, or hats. First, you have the white hat hackers. These are the good guys, the ones using their skills to protect systems. This group includes ethical hackers, who are actually hired by companies to test and beef up their defenses. Then, on the complete opposite side, you've got black hat hackers. These are the criminals. And somewhere in the middle, that's where the gray hat hackers are. They operate in a kind of moral gray area, sometimes breaking the rules, but not necessarily to cause any real harm.
Our digital world is just so complex, right? So it makes sense that cybersecurity isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of job. It's a huge industry with tons of different battlegrounds, and each one requires a very specialized set of skills.
This field is absolutely massive. You've got experts who focus entirely on protecting the apps on your phone, while others are securing the enormous cloud networks that basically run our world. You even have digital detectives doing forensics work, tracing a hacker's steps after a security breach. And then there are threat intelligence experts, who are kind of like spies, trying to figure out the next big attack before it even happens.
So with all these threats out there, how do the good guys actually stay one step ahead? Well, one of the most important things they do is learn to think exactly like an attacker. This process is called penetration testing, or just pen testing for short. It's essentially a simulated, authorized cyber attack against your own system to find all the weak spots before a real attacker does. And the most crucial point here is that this has to be done legally. A formal contract is always signed between the company and the pen tester to make sure everything is completely above board.
But how much information does the tester get to start with? Well, that really depends on the kind of test they're running.
So in a white box test, the pen tester is given everything, full knowledge of the system, like the source code, network maps, you name it. The complete opposite of that is a black box test, where they start with zero information, just like a real-world attacker would. And as you can probably guess, a gray box test is right in the middle, where the tester has some but not all of the details.
Now, to make sure these tests are thorough and professional, testers don't just wing it.
They follow established playbooks, or what we call methodologies. Let's just quickly touch on 3 of the big ones you're likely to hear about.
OWASP is pretty much the go-to guide for making websites and web applications secure. OSSTMM is a bit broader. It covers everything from networks to physical security, like can somebody just walk right into the server room? And then you have NIST, which is a massive set of guidelines that governments and huge corporations use to manage their overall security strategy.
All right, to really get how attackers find these weaknesses, we need to cover one last fundamental idea: the digital doors and windows of any computer system, which are known as ports.
Now, you're probably already familiar with physical ports. Those are the things you can actually touch, like the USB, Ethernet, or HDMI connections on your laptop. But in the world of networking, we're usually talking about virtual ports. Think of them as numbered gateways, from 0 all the way up to 65,535. And they manage all the data flying back and forth over the internet.
And each one of these virtual doorways is usually reserved for a very specific job or type of communication. So what are some of the common ones you might actually run into?
Here are just a few key ones to know. Port 21 is for transferring files using FTP. Port 22 is for SSH, which is a secure way to log into another computer remotely. You might also see port 23 for Telnet, but that's an older and really insecure method that attackers absolutely love to find left open. And finally, port 25 is what helps send your emails using SMTP. Knowing these basics helps you understand how data and attackers can move through a network.
And that brings us to the end of our introduction. Look, the whole goal here is to empower you with knowledge. As Techacdnt, the creators of this material, always say, this information is for one thing and one thing only: to help you build defenses, not to cause harm. Understanding the tools and tactics of attackers is really the first step to protecting ourselves.
We have really only just scratched the surface today, so if you want to keep building up those defenses with us, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss what's coming up next.